Good morning, dear students. Students, today we are going to make start of the second part. Previously, we have finished the first part of the same lesson, the hack driver, and today we are going to finish it, right? So, I know that the Bill's helpfulness to the young fellow from the city was not entirely a matter of brotherly love. I was paying him for his time. In the end, I paid him for 6 hours, including the lunch hour, at what was then a very high price. But he was no more dishonest than I. I charged the whole thing to the firm, right? But it would have worth paying him myself to have his presence. His cheerful country wisdom was very refreshing to a country boy like me who was sick of the city. As we sat on the hilltop looking over the pastures and creek over the slipped among the trees, he talked of a new mullion and painted a picture in words of all the people in it. Right? So he noticed everything, but no matter how much he might laugh at people, he also understood and forgave their foolishness. He described the minister's wife who sang the loudest church when she was most in debt. He commented on the boys who came back from the college in fancy clothes. He told about the lawyer whose wife could never succeed in getting him to put on both a collar and a tie on the same day. He made them all live. On that day, I came to know New Mullion better than I did. Right? Better than I did. The city and to love it better. Right? Here, meaning of the pastures means pastures. Pastures means grasslands, and the creeks means a stream and minor tributary, right? So the narrator says that Bill was not helping him because of his helping nature, but he was earning money from him. He was getting paid for 6 hours, even the lunch hour during which they were sitting idle on a hilltop. He was comfortable with this because his law firm would bear all his expenses, so he felt it to be dishonesty on his own part. Anyways, he was happy to get the company of such a cheerful person like Bill. While they were sitting on the hilltop, they saw the beautiful grasslands and the streams flowing through them. For the clerk, they were beautiful as he was also a villager and it did not like the city life much. Bill told him everything about New Mullion. He explained everything and everyone such a way that he felt like everything had happened in front of his own. Bill told him about the minister's wife who sang so loudly in church whenever she was under debt. This means that she prayed to God for her problems, right? Then there were some college boys who would dress in such a fancy way, and the lawyer wife who always failed in attempt to make her husband wear both the collar and the tie on the same day. The narrator says Bill's knowledge of his village fellows was so good that it made him love a small town of New Mullion. He says that now he knew almost everything about the place, whereas he was not much aware of the city he was living in. Bill did not know about colleges and cities, but he had traveled around a lot of the country and he had a lot of jobs. From his adventures, he had brought back a philosophy of simplicity and laughter. He strengthened me. We left the peaceful scene of meadows and woods and restaurants our search of Silver Lutkins. We could not find him. At last, Bill cornered a friend of Lutkins and made him admit what he guessed. Oliver's gone out to his mother's farm 3 miles north. We drove out there laying planes. Right. So, meaning of adventures, ADVENTURES. Adventures means exploit or an event. Philosophy means beliefs. Right. Meadows, MEADOWS. Meadows means pastures. Resumed means restart, and cornered means forced, right? किसी के ऊपर दबाव डालना. Now, Bill knew nothing about colleges and the cities, maybe because he never got the chances to visit these places, but he knew everything about the villages and the small towns as he had different type of jobs at these places. He got his ideology of simplicity and cheerful nature as a gift by exploiting them places, and he tries to build faith in the narrator that they would surely catch Lutkins. Both of them left beautiful fields and restarted their search mission. At last, Bill forced Lutkin's friends to admit that Lutkin had run away to his mother's house, which was 3 miles away from New Mullion. So both of them prepared to drive Lutkin's mother in order to find him. And now, I know Oliver's mother. She is a terror. Bill sighed. I looked a trunk of there for her once, and she almost took my skin off because I did not treat it like a fox of eggs. She is about 9 feet and tall and 4 feet thick and quick as cat, and she sure can talk. I'll bet Oliver heard somebody is chasing him and he is gone on there to hide behind his mother's skirts. Well, we'll try her, but you would better let me do it. Boy, you may be great as literature and law, but you haven't had real training swearing, right? And Bill told him that he knew Oliver's mother because once he took the delivery of trunk for her, she treated him very badly as she was angry for not taking proper care of her trunk. He described the physical appearance as she was 9 feet tall and 4 feet thick and compared her quickness that of a cat. He added that the Lutkins must have come to know that they were searching for him, and that's why he had run to his mother's place in order to hide himself. He also suggested that the narrator should let him deal with the mother as he doubted that the clerk would not be able to extract the truth from the lady's mouth. And we drove in a poor farmyard. We were faced by an enormous and cheerful old woman. My guide bravely went up to her and said, "Remember me, I am Bill Magnuson, right? The carter and hackman. I want to find your son Oliver. I don't know anything about Oliver and I don't want to see shouted. Now look here, we had just about enough nonsense. This young man represents the court in the city, and we have a legal right to search all properties for Oliver Lutkins, right?" Now, Bill made me sound very important, and the woman was impressed. She retired into the kitchen, and we followed. She seized an iron from the old-fashioned stove and marched on us, shouting, "You search all you want to, if you don't mind getting burnt first," she shouted and laughed at our frightened retreat. When we reached the farmland, they found a heavily built, cheerful old lady. Bill went up to her guts and introduced himself by saying he was Bill Magnuson, and also told her that he was searching for her son Oliver. To this, the lady replied by shouting that she knew nothing about him. And Bill made me sound very important, and woman was impressed, right? And now Bill got a bit strict with the lady and said that they had been through and confusing things, and then introduced her to the clerk by saying that he was a person appointed by the city court, and he also said that had got a legal right to search her house for Oliver Lutkins, to find Oliver Lutkins, right? And the clerk was happy as he was getting due importance from Bill, and even the lady seemed impressed by him. She went into the kitchen and both of them followed her. To their shock, she took out a hot iron from the stove and threatened them to burn. She laughed when they stepped back due to fear. And I agreed that it was pretty disrespectful. We did, however, search the house. Since it was the only 1 story high, Bill went round it, peering in all the windows. We examined the barn and stable. We were reasonably certain that Lutkins were not there. It was nearly time for me to catch the afternoon train, and Bill drove me to the station. On the way to the city, I worried very little over my failure to find Lutkins. I was too busy thinking about Bill Magnuson. Really, I considered returning to New Mullion to practice law. If I had found Bill so deep and richly human, might I not grow to love Fritz and Gustav's 100 other slow spoken, simple, wise neighbors? I pictured an honest and happy life beyond the strict limits of universities and law firms. I was excited. I had found a treasure. I had discovered new way of life. But if I did not think much about Lutkins, the office did, I found them all upset. Next morning, the case was coming up in the court, and they had to Lutkins. I was shameful, uselessful. That morning, my promising legal career almost came to an end before it had begun. The chief almost murdered me. He hinted that I might do well at digging ditches. I was ordered back to New Mullion, and with me went a man who had worked with Lutkins. I was rather sorry because it would prevent my lofting all over again with Bill. When the train arrived station at New Mullion, Bill was on the station platform near his cart. Strangely enough, that old tigress Lutkins' mother was there, talking and laughing with Bill, not quarreling at all. From the train steps, I pointed Bill out to my companion and said, "There is a fine fellow, a real man. I spent the day with him." "He helped you to hunt?" "Oliver Lutkins? Yes, he helped me a lot." "He must have. He is Lutkin himself." "What really hurt me was that when I served the summons, Lutkins and his mother laughed at me as though I were a bright boy of 7. With loving kindness, they begged me to go with them a neighbor's house for a cup of coffee. I told them about you, and they are anxious to look at you," said Lutkins joyfully. "They are about the only folks in the town that missed seeing you yesterday." Right. Then we examined the barn and the stubble. We were even reasonably certain, right? The reaction of the lady after hearing the statement was so horrible that Bill murmured to clerk to leave the place. He agreed that the behavior of the woman was very rude, yet they managed to search the whole house, including outhouse and the stable. As it was a single-storied building, they managed to search the whole of it, could not find Lutkins. As the clerk was getting late for his train, therefore Bill took him to the station. While the narrator was heading backwards the city, he did not regret his failure in delivering summons to Lutkins. Rather, he was happy. He was still thinking about Bill Magnuson and felt like going back to New Mullion and start his practice there. He felt a certain kind of attachment with all the villagers such as Fritz and Gustav, whom he considered humble speakers and wise neighbors. Right? He imagined a life which was honest, simple and joyous, which was not even experienced by him in the boundaries of his universities or law firm. He was so happy that he felt as if he had got some kind of treasure and had found a new way of life. The narrator was so worried about finding Lutkins, but his firm was. The people there got very upset on hearing that he was not able to serve the summons. He was insulted by being called shameful and useless. He felt that it was his last day in the office as his career was about to end. The narrator's chief was very angry with him. He treated him so badly that the clerk felt as if he would murder him. Not only this, he also suggested to him that he was better for the job of a drilling drain or something. He was again sent to New Mullion with a man who had worked with Lutkins. The clerk was feeling bad, not for what happened, but because he would miss the chance to be the Bill. Right? And when the train arrived, and both the narrator and his new partner reached to New Mullion station, they saw Bill on the platform. But to his surprise, Bill was talking and laughing with Lutkins' mother, whom the narrator compared to a tigress for his rude behavior. He then told his partner that Bill was a nice man who helped him search for Lutkins, but he was surprised by the answer given by the companion, that the man who helped him to find Lutkins was none other than Lutkins himself. And the things that pinched the narrator a lot was both the mother and the son were laughing at him when he served Lutkins with the summons. Not only this, they requested him to join them for a coffee at neighbor's house because they were the only people left in the village who had not seen him yesterday when he was searching for Lutkins, though Lutkins was riding him in the back. So students, as you can see, this story has been finished, and this story was even humorous. You can see that here clerk was being mistaken, clerk was being even treated Lutkins and his mothers badly, and because he was befooled by them, right? So student, once again you will make the revision of the video. You will see again and again the video up to the time of clarification, and further if you are getting problem, then you can ask, right? So we will meet again in next video session. Up to the time, thank you, have a nice day.